Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So I sure am having a fantastic day. If you would guys like to subscribe to this channel, consider doing so. If you want to like this video, basically what I do on this channel is I talk about the weather, I go over the models, and make weather simple for most, because sometimes the way people put in weather or what NOAA does, the National Weather Service, is fine, but sometimes it's a little bit complicated. And what I do is just try to, give it to you in the best sense and the most accurate way, putting a twist on it. So, consider doing that. But today is going to be a long-range outlook, long-range update. We'll be talking about the pattern that will be going on across the country. And as of now, we're looking very active, not necessarily cold, or more on the warmer side than the cold side, it seems. But it seems like, this upcoming week, right now I'm recording this on the 29th, this upcoming week should be really warm across the east and the south, but not necessarily after this heat wave, it's going to be, hot, but after this, not necessarily too warm or really no more heat waves, or doesn't look like it in the near future after this week. But let's just get into this. So right now we're looking at the GFS model. We look at this model and we see that we have a strong system, a strong low pressure. It is across Wyoming and Colorado, getting at 993 millibars of pressure, and it is dropping lots of snow across Montana, southern Alberta, southern Manitoba, and getting to Saskatchewan. You can see that it's a pretty strong system. It's not super organized. It doesn't have a defined warm front or cold front as much as a really strong organized winter storm would have. But that definitely drops a load of precip across the west. Very chilly temperatures are come along with the snow. Or that's why mainly the snow is there in the first place, is because of these chilly temperatures. And these chilly temperatures are going to stay around for a while, especially since once you have that snowpack, some of that snow can get reflects light the most. And that the atmosphere has a harder time absorbing the heat, or the environment, if you will, the air. And notice how it kind of leaves a cold front behind it, which another low almost takes advantage of it, and that produces more rain across Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois. So this is definitely some heavier stuff that's going to occur yet again across the Midwest. We have been seeing a lot of precip across the West and the East. Across the Midwest and the parts of the East, really, but it's mainly the Midwest. There's a lot of flood warnings, flood watches, and they definitely do not need more rain. But I know that parts of Mid-Atlantic have been pretty dry. You may get a dose of the northern parts of the Mid-Atlantic, like southern Pennsylvania, West Virginia, may get a little bit of rain. This is next Friday, but generally staying a little bit drier for these locations. Notice how there's a nice trough right here, and we see that 540 millibar thickness line, which basically brings the 32 degree line wherever it is, and brings it with it. And you can see right there, it gets pretty chilly. If we were to pull up the 2 meter temperature shaded, it would probably be around 32 degrees. Yeah, you can see anywhere that blue, that's 32 degrees, and 37, 36. Obviously, this is during the night, not during the day. Still, getting into that time of the year where this chill starts occurring. And notice how also we see a more of a ridging pattern. This is next weekend. This is next Saturday, next Sunday. You can see possibly another storm system. Not much snow associated with this one, but it drags a cooler air mass behind it, probably brings in a couple of degrees down. Then we see a bigger storm. This one is actually very far out, and most likely not going to occur, but it's really pleasing to look at the eye. I mean, look at it. It's so well organized. We see heavy snow on the west and northwest side of it. I mean, this is just a really pretty storm. There's a low right there. This is, I think, in Manitoba or Saskatchewan at this point. I think it's in Saskatchewan. And you can see here's the warm front, the cold front right here, and the cold air is coming right behind it, and out ahead of it we have the precip mostly in the form of rain. And then out here we have the warm front that's out of view, but very, very nice. It's almost like a comma-shaped head, and this probably would bring blizzard conditions to these locations. Obviously, this is very far out, but again, I just wanted to point it out that these storms are going to be coming, starting to look more and more like this in the near future. And then also after that storm passes, we see a nice chill, a pretty big temperature drop in the long range, but then we can see another storm which warms things up. But if we go to the 2-meter temperature anomaly, you can see some blue temperatures coming in. But generally, it won't be a all-time, a heat wave will be for this area, the cold will be for this area. It's going to kind of be all over the place. As you can see here, it's cold across the Midwest and the East. Now it's warm across the Midwest and East. It seems like most, consistent areas will see the chill in the Northwest. The Northwest, basically Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana are going to be rather chilly. Places in the Southwest, California, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, those locations will be, seeing some warmth, but also some chill from this negative P&A pattern. So that is definitely, it's still kind of like that little battle zone, I guess, between the furthest by the Mexican border, probably about warmer temperatures or more above average. The further you go up, it's going to be a little bit cooler, and that is to do with that negative P&A. Again, it's been pretty prominent in the past couple of days. Really contributing to this big snowstorm that's going on in the west. And now this is the newest model run of the GFS, and it hasn't progressed or processed itself through all the way, but you notice how it still has that storm around that Monday, October 7th, around next weekend, with that little chill, kind of like that little trough. So we have to be watching that, maybe some first frost and freezes for quite a good chunk of the Midwest, possibly, with this. So we definitely have to keep an eye on for that. If we go to the 6 to 10 day outlook, from October 5th through the 9th, you can see mainly the warm air, the above average air, is centered across the south, with decreasing confidence as it goes to the north, eventually transitioning into equal chances or neutral. Either it could be warm or hot in these locations, and then transitioning into a cooler across the northwest and the northeast. In terms of precip, if you live in the Middle Atlantic, good news, because at least you're not in the below average and you're actually in a slightly above average. And I know many locations in Middle Atlantic, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, South Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi. Many locations have been dry across those areas. Well, now it seems like you'll be getting a little bit more precip. The dry pattern will be breaking down in the future. It may be still prominent for the next several days, but as you can see, 6 to 10 day outlook showing some above average precip, so that's always good, for those that need it. And then 8 to 14 day outlook, a little bit more warmth possibly spreading across the U.S. I'm gonna say it's completely possible at this point that we could be looking at slightly warmer temperatures across the U.S. around mid-October, but this again is going to be kind of interrupted with cool phases of air making its way south and then kind of getting pushed back up to the north by storm system, and then kind of going back and forth, while the southern U.S. really stays kind of warmer and doesn't really get into any of that chill, unfortunately, at this point, it seems. And then look at that, the east stays above average, so good for the mid-Atlantic and south where they need it, but not too good for the Midwest where they really don't, and you need to harvest those crops, soybean, corn. All those crops have been absolutely slam-bunked by heavy rain early in the spring. They won't be able to plant it. Now there's possibly frost and freezes already coming along, so they definitely need that to get that harvested. And they could harvest soy pretty late into the season. Same with corn. It could be literally dried on the stalk. It's just that they need, if you have 100 acres, it's not going to take you one day. It's going to take you most likely a couple of days, to, couple of weeks, really, because most farmers usually only have time on the weekends to do it as like a side thing. So they still have to get that harvested. And if we get like a really early snowstorm, but like across North Dakota and South Dakota, which is completely possible, and the crops haven't been harvested yet, then we could be looking at devastation. But hopefully that does not happen. Let's look at the Ensemble members and see what's going on with them. The GEFS. It's a pretty good, pretty good forecasting ensemble. Does a fairly decent job of showing what's to come. This Climate Prediction Center uses it fairly frequently. And okay, so let's look at this, and now let's check this out. So again, this week seems pretty warm across the eastern U.S. October 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, we start seeing the cold or the cool blast of air turn more into a warming phase, kind of. It's hard to tell. The GFS ensembles are still trying to keep in the cooler air, but they also bring in some warm air, and then they start bringing in a little more cool air. So this is going to be tough to exactly see what's going to happen. But at this point, it seems more of kind of like a back and forth. The warm temperatures will be brought up every time a big storm system comes along, and then the cold temperatures will be coming behind that. And depending on the frequency of the storms, we'll see how long that cold air lasts for, or how long that warm air lasts for, if it's really frequent storms. So it's all, a gamble, but that is that. If you look at the 3 to 4 week outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, I think they're showing mainly above average. Yeah, they're showing mainly above average temperatures for a good portion of the country. I think it's gonna be a little bit cooler than this, but the 3 to 4 week outlook hasn't been historically really too accurate, but that's fine. 3 to 4 weeks again is pretty tough to forecast, as you don't really even know where to start with that. Really, the models usually don't go that far, and you have to use either teleconnections or some other form of forecasting system, like the organic forecasting methods, or using sea surface temperatures. All of that is fun stuff. So consider guys subscribing, consider liking the video, and I'll catch you all guys on the next episode. See ya. Bye.